Mirko Cro Cop ignited a love for mixed martial arts in the hearts of millions. However, long before switching to MMA, the king of cemetery high kicks used to decapitate A-list killers in K1. And went down in history as the last champion of the great promotion. Today, we recall Cro Cop's legendary standoffs against the violent kickboxing gang of the 1990s. Mirko Filipovic was born in 1974 and did his first Van Damme-inspired split as a teenager after watching the famous movie Bloodsport. He trained extensively in his dad's garage from an early age, practicing the very strike that would make him famous years later. The speed bag was no good for punching, so Mirko would throw naked kicks. Actively competing in boxing while serving in the military, the Croat stayed in the amateurs until demobilization. When his army days were over, the 21-year-old Filipovic, with a record of 48-8, made his kickboxing pro debut right away at the K1 World Grand Prix 1996. The promotion did not give the newcomer a soft landing, matching him up with Jerome Le Banner. The Frenchman, dubbed Cyborg, had been taking lumps out of opponents for years. The chiseled assassin was considered so dangerous that the organizers were simply forced to call a cop. The wary Mirko launched the operation by bombarding the torso and switched to the head without delay. Le Banner gathered his wits and kept on grinding, sneaking in shots in the clinch. Nevertheless, Filipovic continued hunting for the skull, leading the dance until the final bell. Piercing Cyborg's armor with a cross and taking the decision, the Croat advanced to the quarterfinals. Mr. Perfect, Ernesto Hoost, was waiting for him, the man who would win the World Grand Prix 4 times and be remembered as one of the greatest strikers in combat sports. Mirko set things in motion with kicks to all levels and meaningful punches. But the colossal gap in experience manifested itself in close quarters. The newcomer's compromised mobility made him a target for low kicks. And when the sound of slamming shins became unbearable, a sensational triumph was no longer viable. Mirko was not ready for the extreme level of opposition and took a break from K1. During this time, he captured several European titles and also acquired the nickname Croatian Cop, or Cro Cop for short, thanks to his service in an elite anti-terrorist unit. Filipovic returned in the spring of 1999 against the 6'11" Jan the Giant Norte. The South African was expecting an all-out slugfest. Meanwhile, the Croatian sniper unloaded a batch of body blows, flirted a bit with patented kicks, and cracked the giant's jaw. The long hook reached the addressee, and Norte collapsed to the floor, in desperate need for aspirin. Mirko's next rival was more modest in size, crumbling in less than 2 minutes as a consequence. As deadly as Cro Cop's left high kick was, the right one certainly didn't lag too much behind. Acquiring more experience, Filipovic crashed the K1 World Grand Prix party again in 1999. In order to get to the final stage, he had to stop Mike Bernardo. Some called him the White Rhino, as he was a laid-back kind of guy outside of the ropes, but would turn into a bomb swinger with violent attitude once the bell rang. Be that as it may, Mirko was not the type to draw in his horns in the face of a challenge. Unwilling to let the wounded beast go, Cro Cop pressed on the gas and finished off Bernardo. The high kick triggered the emergency button in Mike's vestibular apparatus, and its author advanced to the Grand Prix boot at the beginning personally, and taught the impudent freshman a lesson. From that moment on, the Brazilian karateka's consciousness was hanging by a thread. Mirko pressured the future star for all 3 rounds. To give credit, Feitosa managed to find good moments himself. Despite 2 convincing victories in the Grand Prix, the Croat's leg injury was starting to take its toll. The old acquaintance Bernardo gave him no leeway. That same year, 2000, Filipovic and Andy Hoog delivered a battle for the ages. The blue-eyed samurai was the 1996 World Grand Prix champion, had the most impressive highlight reel in the history of the sport, an integral part of which were his kicks that are unmatched to this day. Fighting youth with experience, Andy pushed the cop back with wheel kicks and took aim at the legs. Mirko retaliated with heavy combinations. Then they tested each other in exchanges. Hoog was clearly playing a long point-scoring game. Cro Cop had a single-shot demolition in mind. Halfway through the contest, Andy shifted the focus to the midsection and came out on the winning end of an axe kick trade. In dire need of a finish, Filipovic launched a last resort attack towards the end. Hoog endured the storm and held strong on his way to a triumphant decision. A medieval forge was cooler than the ring that night, but it was in such wars that the legends of K1 were tempered. Sadly, Andy would pass away due to leukemia just 2 months later, and the clash versus Cro Cop will forever remain a monument to the blue-eyed samurai's unwavering will. For Mirko, this bout served as a sign of fate, since he would cross the Rubicon and debut in MMA at Hoog's memorial event in 2001. Within the same time frame, Peter Aerts squared off against Filipovic. The Dutch lumberjack was a rare breed of fighter with knockout power in all his limbs. Still, neither of the 3 Grand Prix belts helped him stop the Croat's victory march. In 2002, Mirko shot down yet another kamikaze. And would only